Okay, so I got to make a cap for the newel post, and the newel post is going to be painted, but I want to add, some coolness to it. And what I'm going to do is make the cap and some other elements of this newel post. I'm going to make it, give it that hardwood look, and we'll make it out of oak and stain it, and it's going to look really cool. The way that I'm going to build this cap for the newel post is I'm actually going to take 3 different pieces of stock and layer them, and I'm going to cut cool profiles into them. Now the first piece, we got to think about the outside dimension of the newel post. Mine is 4 5/8 inch. So I've got a piece of stock here that's 5 5/8. I'm going to make it have about a 1/2 inch hanging over each side. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to run it through the router table and put a roundover, put a nose on it with a roundover bit. Just a kind of a little hint, if you're doing something like this, run your end grain through first, because it's going to blow the ends out. So if you run that through first, it blows the end out, but when you make this pass here, it cleans it up. So this one is, what I say, 5 5/8. Then I'm going to take this piece. This one is 4 5/8, and I'm going to run it through the router table through an OG bit, and it's going to put a neat little profile on this. So that'll get stacked here. And finally, the last operation that separates the men from the boys, and you'll see why when I go through and do this, I'm going to run this piece. This is 2 5/8. So I'm stepping down an inch, or making an inch over, down an inch, and then down 2 inches. And I'm going to run this through the Roman OG bit too, but I'm going to change the height of the bit, and it's going to change the profile of this, and it's going to look really cool when I stack it right here. So let's go set the router table up and run these pieces through. So let's go ahead and start putting this cap, this top part together. What I've got here is I cut out 2 3/4 inch pieces of board and I glued them together, and it'll go perfectly down inside of that top post. Okay, and what's going to happen is our cap is going to be assembled in such a way that you know it'll set down in that top post, and you can take it in and out. So all I'm really going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of this, lay it into place, and come around on the other side and put a couple of 18 gauge nails in it. Doesn't matter, because this gets covered up on the next layer and you won't see those nail holes. I've already got this laid out, so I know exactly where to put this piece of block. I'm just going to lay it into place. That looks pretty good. I'm going to let that set for a minute and get some tack on it. Then I'll come around to the other side and put a couple of nails in it. Okay, went on real good. Now we have to put this next layer on. That looks pretty good. I'm going to let that set up and tack a little bit, and I'll pin nail it. So now I'm just going to come along these corners right here, right there on the edge, right here, and just hit it with a pin nail. That's going to hold it in place really nice. Now all we have to do is same deal with this top piece, and we'll be done with this. And then just a little point of detail, just try to keep end grain to end grain to end grain. That way it'll look a little more uniform, I believe. There we go. I'm going to let that set up and tack, and then I'll just nail the edge again. Maybe one on each side. There's our cap. So here's our cap, and it just goes in there like that, and it fits perfect. And you can take it in and out and hide your contraband on the inside. I may come along the edges here and make up a piece of trim, maybe put a little trim along here. I don't know, I haven't really decided. So this is the part of the video where I have to be honest with my loyal viewing audience. I built that post and I took it up there and set it in place, and I didn't like it. It was way too big. I can visualize how things go together and assembly and all that, but I'm not good at visualizing what it's going to look like in place, and if it's too big or too small. I struggle with that. So I didn't like it, and I've rebuilt that post. I'm going to give you the dimensions. The base of the post is 13 inches tall, and it's 4.5 by 4.5. And the overall length of the pole is 40 inches, and that center column coming up is 3 inches, 3 by 3. All the dimensions of the trim pieces, as far as the overhangs and stuff like that, that's all the same. I had to scale down the cap accordingly because the center column of that post is smaller. But anyway, I've just gone ahead and rebuilt it, and I like the size of the one that I have now, and just that other one was way too big. It looked good at the bottom of a stair or something like that, but it was too beefy for where I was going to use it. So there's my honesty moment, and we'll just go ahead and keep finishing up on this project. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to do to dress up this Newel post is I'm going to come in right below the cap. Okay, the cap's going to be here, and right here is where your handrail comes in. So I'm going to come below the handrail, and I'm just going to make a band that's going to go all the way around the Newel post. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take piece of 2-inch oak. I'm just going to rip this down to 2 inches on the table saw. And you know, it's going to be stained, so it's going to look cool and have that hardwood element to it. And you know, you could pick any number of profile bits to run through on your router. I'm just going to use a basic chamfer bit, and that just puts a 45-degree angle on it. So it'll have a 45 here, it'll be flat, and then it'll bump back in with another 45. And I think that'll make a neat looking band around that post. And like I said, it'll make a transition from where the top is, where the handrail is supposed to be, and then, you know, continuing on down the post. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, then it's time to go ahead and start putting this band around the Newel post. And the way that I've laid this out is the handrail is going to be about 37 inches. Code is between 34 and 38. So I'm going to put this one at about 37 inches. So I've measured up to a point here that's 37 inches. And I have a little piece of handrail I cut out just to give me a little guide. And I marked the top and bottom of where the handrail is going to go. And the distance between here and here is 1 3/4 inches. So I measured a point 1 3/4 inches to here where the band is going to go. Okay, like that. So we got 1 3/4 inches, 1 3/4 there. And of course the handrail will, well, be in there like that. Little tip, you can take your square like that and just put a clamp on it. Put some of this painter's tape on the back so it won't mar your finish up, but just kind of put a clamp on it, and that gives you a little cleat to lay your piece in. So what I've got to do, I've already cut a miter on this side, and I'm just going to lay it into place, just kind of doing this by feel. And I'll probably cut it a little bit heavy anyway, and then I'm just going to come around the back here and just go ahead and mark it. So that way I'll know where to cut when I take it to the miter saw. So let's go ahead and go cut this piece. Well, it's time to go ahead and start putting this little band on. And I've got my pieces cut out. This angle here ended up being kind of hinky. I had to cut that, I think 46 on each side. It was kind of a pain. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put just an ever so small smidge of wood glue right here. And what that'll do is it'll give it a little bit of tack, but it'll let me kind of move it and adjust it and get it into place. And then I'll use some side pieces here to get it lined up. And I don't really want to run a big old nasty 18 gauge finish nail into this pretty finish. I think I'm going to come down below with a pin nail and pop it in from below and kind of see how that works. If that holds it pretty good, then I'll just leave it be. So let me go ahead and do that. Just going to put a smidge of glue on here just to give it a little bit of holding power. Actually, that turned out being a little more than a smidge. That's pretty good right there, pretty good. See how that little square made a cleat to give us something to rest on? That turned out pretty good. I'll take my side pieces here and kind of make sure we're lining up real good. Check this side. This side looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to hit it with a 1-inch pin nail from below, so hopefully you won't be able to see it. Alright, let's go ahead and put this side in right here. I've already got my piece cut. I'm going to go ahead and put another little smidge of glue on here. And this time I'm going to put a little smidge right here in the corner where the miter is. Just to let that bite a little bit. And I'll just kind of wipe it in there a little bit. Fits pretty good. I like it. Nice tight sharp corner right here. Having that cleat on there helps a lot, and hopefully what that's going to do, by the time I work my way around, I'm not going to be off a 1/4 of an inch or something. I'll be square and straight, because if you're not with these miters now, talk about jacked up, it'll be all jacked up by the time I get the other two sides on. I'll probably come back in a little bit and pin nail these corners. Looks pretty good. So now we just continue working our way around here. Everything seems to be going together pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and put this last piece in. See how that turns out. It actually looks pretty good right there. I might be off maybe a 32nd of an inch, but it ain't nothing I can't live with. Okay, I'm pretty pleased with that.